Hi, I'm Terry Kimball with the Chandler Chamber, and I am so excited to bring you another Strategy for Success seminar. Today I have with me Mark and Jillian from Concept to Completion. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here. I love these events.
I know. I love today's topic and tips and tricks elevating your personal brand online. And I can't wait to hear you guys always have such great information. But those of you that are joining us for the first time, I want to tell you a little bit about our speakers today. Mark Stewart is with Concept to Completion. Mark has over 25 years of experience as a Fortune 50 leader through founding his own businesses. Mark has launched multiple brands from scratch and has either founded or co-founded 3 startups in electronics, sporting goods, and general consumer product goods industry. Mark also has an intimate understanding of marketing in the modern age, having experience in retailers like Target, Walgreens, Walmart, Canadian Tire, and Amazon. Mark can provide insight into common marketing and retail strategies. Mark serves as the Vice Mayor of the City of Chandler and represents the Job Creators Network as the Arizona State Ambassador. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Jillian Grammer with Concept to Completion. Jillian also helps small businesses grow an online presence that targets audiences to convert. She is committed to communicating a brand's unique value and story through organic and paid strategies. As a marketing content manager for Concept to Completion, she's responsible for internal and external marketing content as well as execution duties. She creates, executes, and delivers marketing for Concept to Completion clients, including to, but not limited to social media, email marketing, creative, design, blog, video development, content creation, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, a little bit of everything. So welcome you two.
Thanks for having us. I'm excited to talk about personal branding.
Yeah, so what's the hottest thing?
Well, for what we do and for our audience today, no doubt LinkedIn is the key to Pandora's box, if you will. So we're going to have a workshop at the end of this, kind of talks about LinkedIn. Jillian's going to bring us home with that sort of project, but we're going to talk about what is a brand, which we've done in the past. We've talked about that. We've talked about examples of effective, we'll talk about examples of effective branding, effective personal brands. We'll talk about the key benefits. Oh, I think Jillian's putting the deck up right now. So maybe I jumped the gun a little bit, but we'll dive right in because I know everybody's working on a time crunch here, and this is good to get through. So we'll talk about the 13 keys to building a great personal brand. And you're like, 13 keys, oh my gosh. But there's some really good ones in there that I'll draw out for you that I really want you to take home with you today. And then we'll talk about rocking your LinkedIn. Let's make your LinkedIn the best that it can be. And get brave out there with posting and being a thought leader in your space. So, and then we'll end it up with Q&A. But thank you for joining us, everybody. And so, as Terry told you, for years, I've been a proponent of not only building business brands, but linking people's personal brands. If you run a business, I want to link your personal brand to your business. It's important for people to know what you feel and what you think, but I think it's important to understand what a brand is. And so, like I've mentioned a million times, a brand is simply your promise. It's what your business promises every day that they're going to deliver to somebody without question. So they can understand there's going to be consistency and that they can count on your business to do what it says it's going to do every time. It is an example of how your reputation is represented in the marketplace, and is a way for people from a word of mouth perspective to share what people can expect from you when they connect with your brand. And that can be personally, and that can be business. And so a brand projects the quality and the level of expertise you have to offer. And over time, it will cause people to be loyal to your brand, and they won't walk away because you've consistently delivered on your business. So a personal brand gives you the permission to be your authentic self. And it's about being your authentic. So if you're rash, if you're hard hitting, if you're in your face and you want to own that and you can do that respectfully, that's the brand that you should own. Don't hold back, be who you are. If you're somebody that prides themselves on being likable, on being easy to talk to and a good listener, that's what you should do as well. So what you want to do is combine how you see yourself and how others see you into that sweet spot there, which is your personal brand. And that's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And we always think about that, but as you're more and more authentic, that will become clearer and clearer. We'll go to the next one.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make about being authentic. I think having a personal brand shouldn't be a hard thing unless you're trying to create a personal brand that isn't yourself or trying to be something that you're not. So this should be something that comes naturally to you and just being yourself and really amplifying that in person and on social media.
Great point, Jillian, and thanks for drawing that out. And so, we wanted to put up some examples of great personal branding, and obviously Oprah exudes the same confidence and the same brilliance, and she is consistent every single time. You've got Mr. Rogers, Pat Mahomes, one of my favorite football players. For a young brand, he has absolutely set a mark for himself as being marketable for State Farm and other companies like that. But he is his authentic self. He's like a little boy on the field, and he's a little boy when he is doing his advertising. And then Jeff Bezos has delivered a brand of somebody that creates innovation and is very methodical and very pragmatic about his approach to solving problems, not only in the United States, but in the world. And so those brands all revolve around one thing, and that's authenticity. And when you think about Mr. Rogers, who I grew up with, he is about as authentic as you can get. And it was real, so real that they made a movie about him. So we'll go to the next one. Anything to add, Jay? All right. Local leaders that have excellent personal branding, and you all might be familiar with Trey Basha, the CEO of Basha's Supermarkets. He has an authentic brand. Former Mayor Jen Daniels has a very authentic brand. If you know Terry Kimball, you know what to expect when you're with her and when you meet with her. And if she's listening, she didn't know that this was coming. And then our newest council member, Christine Ellis, has a very distinct and unique brand, and I absolutely love her, and I love working with her. And those are people that are your local community that I think you can really attach yourself to and know that what you're seeing is what you get. So here's the reason why you're on this call, right? So it's the benefit of personal branding. So what it can offer you if you are a thought leader in your space, it can offer you high-paying work opportunities or higher prices for your products, because not only do people want to connect with your business, they want to connect with your personal brand. It gives you instant recognition to open previously closed doors. It gives you a chance to network with A-list influencers and top CEOs that can help you advance your career. So if you're young in your career, you want to start attaching your brand to people that are more advanced in your career, and that's good for yourself. But I think more importantly, when you choose to be around A-list influencers, you're around, you've always heard the phrase, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. If you're hanging around with high net worth, and I don't mean worth in relationship to money, but I mean high net worth as a relationship to authentic brand, that's going to be good for you. You're going to get a closer realization of self-actualization goals, and you'll have your name recognized in your industry, which is good for you and possibly your clients that you work for, or possibly people that you work with, or even your employees. You'll have the opportunity to get speaking engagements at the conferences and summits that you think are important and that help you even further elevate your brand. It helps you increase your productivity at work because of due to the apparent impact you have on your industry, and it gives you an additional positive impact on your overall personality. Ultimately, what it helps you do is find that path in the road that fits your authentic self and helps you deliver on a daily basis what you feel good about. And so you're not actually working. You're being who you are in a role that you were meant to be in. And so it takes work and it takes process, but it's something we can all do.
Yeah, I think going back to number 7, that point about having an impact on your personality, I think if you don't know where to start with personal branding, I think look inside and have clarity into what you want to represent and who you are. And I feel like go from there to establish your personal brand, and things will just take off naturally from there.
That's perfectly said. Absolutely. And, that means getting a piece of paper down and writing out things, or looking up on Google, how to identify your authentic self, and go through the exercise and be comfortable with you. If you're an introvert, that's fine. Some of the most successful public speakers and most successful brands in the marketplace, personal brands, are introverts. If you're an extrovert, maybe you need to learn how to tone it down a little bit in order to be your authentic self. There's all kinds of things you can do, but you should invest the time in yourself to figure that out. So here are the 13 steps. Yes, 13 steps to building a great personal brand. Obviously, it goes without saying, but it's important to have on a piece of paper and maybe on a sticky note on your computer. This is the most important one that you want to have in any of your interactions from a personal brand perspective, even if you're having a difficult day. Stay positive and humble. Great personal brands don't talk bad about other brands. That means don't talk about people behind their back, because if you're talking about people behind their back, they're going to wonder what you're saying about them when you're not around, or when they're not around. You know, you think about powerhouses like Coke or Nike. They don't talk about Converse or Pepsi. They push their brand and they tell people why it's important for them to connect with their brand. And in fact, the best brands collaborate with one another to help the cause. They're all locking arms together and they're lifting each other's personal brands together in a common in a cause for the common good. We stay connected to responsible brands. Going back to what I said earlier, if you've ever heard we're the average of the 5 people whom you spend the most time with, this is mostly true. So stay connected to responsible brands. Let those people be shoulder to shoulder with you, and that will give you, we call it the halo effect in business, right? And so if you can live within or underneath somebody else's powerful brand, there's some halo effect, or there's some rub off that goes to your brand by being connected with those brands. And that's why so many brand managers take note to really have some brand standards if you're going to be doing social media with their logos and things like that. They're very protective of that. I think this is as important as anything, is deliver great results and keep your promises. So often, and I'm guilty of it, I'll tell you the personal story. I say yes. I believe in the power of yes, and I say yes to just about everything. And what ends up happening with that is sometimes I default to my promises. Just from a time perspective, it's not because I'm doing it on purpose. It's because I run out of time in my day to get the things done that I promised I would get done. But if you deliver great results on a consistent basis and you keep your promises to your clients, that elevates your personal brand. And so when your client is satisfied with your work because you're keeping your promises, this is the opportunity for you to ask for a testimony. If you know that they believe in you and they appreciate you, go out and ask them for a testimony. It's the least you can ask, and it's the most they can do to help you elevate your personal brand, because those outside opinions lift and lend credibility to your brand.
Yeah, I think that people don't leverage the power of testimonials and reviews enough. I feel like I've been seeing more and more brands recently, especially, really using the power of their consumer social proof to advertise their product or their service. And this can be done with your personal brand as well. And I'll get into detail of that more when we go into LinkedIn. But it's one thing for you to say, look how awesome I am, look how great, look at all my skills I have. And then it's something for someone else to actually say that and back you up with it, because people will listen to that and take that more seriously, I think, than when you just say it, because you could just be saying it. For someone to actually back you up is a whole different story.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Testimonials is where it's at. So I'm going to buzz through these next ones because I know we really want to get to that LinkedIn workshop, and that's going to really help you sort of project your brand, and we'll teach you a few tips on how to protect it as well. So, when you're building your personal brand, or when you're sharing information online or whatever that may be, or in person, tell folks why you do what you do and help them connect with your value system. And I know it's like really a touchy-feely sort of comment, but it's so important for people to know why you do what you do. I started C2C with a partner almost 8 years ago, and our goal was to help startups and to help people find their voice and to launch products and to launch their businesses. And it's evolved into something even better, taking existing businesses and helping them tell their story and helping them articulate their true vision and value to their consumer base. And sometimes it just takes some coaching to do that. And then helping them execute that is what I love to do. And I like doing it because I think everybody out there, especially small business owners, they have something of value to offer. And they're so focused on the actual job, the day-to-day duties, that they sometimes forget that they have to go out there and tell people about it. So that's why Jillian and I, like, I love what we do. And that's what my vision is for C2C, is to continue to help small businesses get that story out. So the other thing about a great personal brand is that it helps you gain confidence, because you are riding on your strengths, and you understand, and you start to learn that you have a ton of positive qualities to share, because you're in rhythm of sharing what those positive qualities are, because you're living that life, you're living that authentic self in your personal brand. And so when you know that you have something of value to offer, and you know what you're talking about, it helps your self-esteem, it helps your confidence. And so what that ends up doing, it strengthens the words that you use, the demeanor in which you present those words, and the confidence to help others. And I think that's the key in gaining confidence, is like, if you're being your authentic self, you're trying to help others, hopefully, and then you're moving them forward with you. It helps you build credibility. We talked about that just a little bit ago. Your actions align with your brand and validate that you can be trusted. It shows that you can be credible. So it gives you the opportunity too to showcase your specialty. If you have an area of expertise, be a thought leader in that space. And when we get to LinkedIn, I'm going to show you or Jillian's going to show you a couple tricks on how to do that. If you make the best burrito in town, tell people on why you make the best burrito and why you're an expert at being the best burrito maker in town, and be proud of that. That's your expertise. If it's bigger than that, then you need to be sharing that. If your specialty is cryptocurrency or blockchain, get out there and tell people about your specialty. Leave your mark, right? So become known for something. And because people will remember you through those actions that show your expertise. And through that, you'll create those emotional connections with going back to sharing with people your why. You'll create a connection to your target audience, because personal branding requires communicating that message to the right people. So I'm communicating right now with you, people that matter to me, and you're my target audience, right? And so I'm communicating to you about my value system. I'm not even going to get into what it is that I do, but I'm sharing with you that I'm an expert in branding. I'm an expert in social media. I'm an expert in overall marketing and storytelling. And so when I get to do events like this, it gives me the opportunity, and gives Jillian the opportunity to raise our personal brand. But when we're communicating authentically, it helps us create deeper relationships. It helps us distinguish ourselves from the competition. It gives us a deeper bench of people to draw from for support. And it gives us the ability to focus our energy. And what else it does is that when you invest in yourself and in projecting your personal brand, it gives you the opportunity to be lazy, because when you're being your authentic self, you don't need to reinvent yourself. You're using the tools that you've created to be who you are and own it. And that doesn't mean being rude if you're kind of like I said earlier, in your face sort of person, but it does give you the opportunity to be passionate. And what I found is that sometimes folks that are in your face, what it is, it's not that they're being in your face, it's that they're passionate about what they believe in. And when you start to own that and you become authentic with that, it actually will help you in the long run. So those are 13 key tips. I think this next part of the workshop is going to be phenomenal. Jillian, do you have anything to add on these last 4?
Yeah, I think that if you believe in yourself and your expertise and the value that you're sharing with other people, people will believe in you too.
That is the facts. All right. You want to take it from here?
So yeah, these are some, again, more examples of people.
I'm sorry, this was me too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's okay. You can go ahead.
I always mess this up. Jillian keeps me on track, so thank you. So a couple of platforms that I want you guys to follow. Obviously, I want you to follow the C2C LinkedIn. I'd love for you to follow my LinkedIn. But you want to follow Neil Patel and Gary Vaynerchuk and Chamath Palihapitiya. These gentlemen are all incredible personal brand agents, if you will. Gary Vaynerchuk is an in-your-face sort of social media marketing personal branding sort of guru. He started from pretty simple beginnings and has used the social media to really tell his story. And you know, he was an online wine salesman that kind of parlayed into a sort of a social media guru, a personal branding guru. And I really like him. I think Neil Patel is an incredible resource as well. And then Chamath I just like because he's a futurist. And I think he used to work for Facebook. He was one of the founders of Facebook. And he's just authentic in the way that he sort of calls out the inequities of the world. He calls out the challenges with government. And he does it in a way where you're like, oh, that's common sense. But he actually, instead of just complaining, he brings ideas of action on how to fix it. So I like to follow him as well. So thank you, Jillian, for catching me there.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move this discussion into establishing your personal brand online, specifically LinkedIn. When people think of LinkedIn, they often think of it as a place to find a job or for recruiters to find you. And while LinkedIn is a place for employment and finding those job opportunities and for finding employees, it's also a big platform for personal and professional development. And the best part is it doesn't require a lot of your time or your effort to succeed on it. First, however, we need to set the foundation, and this means making sure your LinkedIn profile is updated and optimized. This is where you can really paint a picture of yourself for other people and your personal brand. Now, the way you set up your profile, it's very similar to a resume, and it probably will feel like you're filling out a resume when you're filling out your profile. And we'll go over the differences between a resume and a LinkedIn profile in the next slide. But essentially, it's more general and it appeals to a wider audience. And each of these components are a piece in the pie. When someone looks at your profile, either as a recruiter or someone wanting to work with you, you need to show them why they would want to connect with you or partner with you. So what should your profile tell other people? It'll tell them about your skills. This will be your education, your work experience, specific skills that you learned in a job. You can really go into detail on LinkedIn. Or if you don't have a ton of job experience and you're just starting out, you can also include classes that you're taking and what you're learning in those classes. Your LinkedIn profile will also showcase your network. So how you are to be around and work with, and this is told by other people through endorsements or commenting on your content. And then it'll also give general information about you. This will share your area of expertise, your values, so things that are important to you. This will come across in your content, and you can also add different interests on your LinkedIn profile. And then your goals, so what you want to be doing in 2, 10, or 30 years. You can showcase this in your about section or the content that you share every day. To know how your profile is performing on LinkedIn, you can use this meter. It'll give you on your profile for what level you're at, just depending on how much information you've filled out. Obviously, we want to strive to get to the all-star level, but I feel like as long as you're in the green, you're good for now, but just continue to add and update your profile. So one of the cool things about LinkedIn is that even if you've created a LinkedIn page years ago, it's often the first search result that comes up on Google when someone types your name in. So that just shows you the importance of having your profile updated and ready for people to view. In general, it's also beneficial to be active on social media and to be building your online presence online. And you also want your profiles to look cohesive. So for example, one way to do this is to have your profile picture the same on each social media platform, so it's easy for people to find you. Another best practice here is to be careful what you post because it can harm your professional brand. I often see people have a very professional LinkedIn page, and then I go to their Instagram and it's like a whole different person. So it's important for your brand to be consistent. Okay, earlier I touched on a LinkedIn profile versus a resume. So a LinkedIn profile is different from a resume for these reasons. It speaks to all potential employers or partners, not just a single person. When you're applying for a job, your resume is often tailored to the company or the person that you're applying for. It also goes into more details with the skills, projects, interests, or certifications that you've earned. It allows other professionals and employers to interact, learn, and contact you. So that's a huge component, obviously, of LinkedIn that comes with the name LinkedIn, connecting with people. You're able to have that aspect. Obviously, a resume is just a piece of paper. It's just a one-way street that you turn into someone. And it also contains recommendations and endorsements. So we talked about that earlier with social proof and people actually justifying that you are skilled in this or giving you an endorsement.
Hey, Jay, on what you just mentioned on the last slide, be careful what you post as it relates to your professional brand. You know, one of the most important things to do sometimes as you're moving out of maybe your college years, or if you have kids that are in college or getting ready to go into college or in that early part of their career, it's kind of important for them to go and clean up their LinkedIn, their Instagram or their Facebook pages, and just think about what kind of brand they're projecting online. It's okay to be fun and whimsical, and it's great to have pictures of the beach, but you know, beer bongs on a roof sometimes. You know, if there would have been pictures of me in college, that would wait. I didn't mean to say that out loud, but I'm just saying, go ahead and try to clean those things up because it's important for them, especially in this day and age. Sorry, Jillian, I just want to interject there.
No, that's a really good point. Definitely agree. Okay, so let's talk about your profile. So your profile picture is the first impression that you have on others. So how do we nail it? We want to use a background that isn't distracting, dress for the job that you want, so dress professionally, use a high resolution image, be the only person in the image. That really goes with saying any social media platform, but especially LinkedIn, this is your profile, you only want it to be you. Get someone else to take the picture of you compared to a selfie style. It just looks more professional. And then make sure that your face takes up majority of the frame. Compared to like an image of you far away, like on the beach, like you can't even see who that is. It needs to be right in front of you. This is exactly who you are. And here's an example of a good picture compared to a not so good. So your story in words, this is when you're filling out your profile, you'll be prompted to fill out this information. So this, again, is just a piece in the pie of building your personal brand and your profile on LinkedIn. So you'll have to fill out your location and industry, work experience, volunteer experience, education and certifications, your skills, and then any programs or organizations that you're a part of. Your headline is one of the most important parts on your LinkedIn page because this comes up on the search on that Google search. So this is where you can include keywords of your job description, who you are and who you serve. Make sure to use all 120 characters that are available. And if someone first, most likely they're going to go to your profile, they're going to look at your profile picture, and then they're going to look at your headline. And if those are the only two things that they're seeing, you need to consider what does that say about you and if it represents your professional brand in the way that you want it to. So your summary is another area that you can fill out. These are just some of the best practices provided by LinkedIn. So 1 to 2 sentences about who you are, 3 to 5 sentences about your experience, top skills, and your key passions, and then 1 to 2 sentences about your future goals and how other members can engage with you. So a great example here, we have Mark's bio here, his summary. So he goes into details of who he is, who he serves, who he's passionate or what he is passionate about. And then down here, he has some contact information for people to engage with him, his phone number, website, and email. Okay, so now that your profile is filled out and ready to go, it's time to start connecting, engaging, and posting content. An easy way to win on the algorithm is to engage. So liking and commenting on other people's posts. And this is really only going to benefit you in the long run if it's content that you're engaging with that's related to your business or industry. So share your expertise and provide value for others. So when it comes to, oh, real quick, I just wanted to mention, make sure that your activity privacy settings are turned on your LinkedIn page. So whenever you're commenting or liking other people's posts, it'll show up on whoever is connected with you on LinkedIn on their newsfeed. So people are seeing your face more and more. Oh, and then also you can send personal connection requests to people that you potentially want to work with or connect with. And it gives you an option to send like a 1 to 2 sentence message when you want to connect with someone, and it's more likely that they'll accept the request and it will start that relationship with them. So when it comes to making content and posting content on LinkedIn, we have 4 examples here of types of content you can post. So you can tell a story. This could be a success story of your own or for a client. It could be a before and after story discussing how you overcame a struggle in your industry. Telling a story, it really captures people's attention, and it also has a higher chance of getting read and shared on LinkedIn. You can also start an unbiased debate. So this gets people talking and it will start a conversation. And listen, people love to tell their opinion. So this is a great one to get people commenting and engaging on your post. For an example, if you're a nutrition coach, you could create a post asking the question, what meal of the day is the toughest for sticking to a healthy diet and why? And then people can comment below what they think and give their opinion, and people can go back and forth. And also don't forget to comment back to people. If they're taking the time out of their day to write a comment on your post, don't forget to respond to that. You can also address a myth. So this is a way for you to share insider knowledge or experience of common beliefs that are false in your industry. And this will also pinpoint you as an expert in your industry. Or you can share positive encouragement. This can almost be as powerful as sharing valuable information on LinkedIn. People really engage well with posts that are positive encouragement, and they tend to do well. So this is a crazy statistic right here. Over 3 million users that are on sharing content on a weekly basis on LinkedIn. 1% of LinkedIn users are sharing content. So that leaves a lot of room for you and what you have to say. So start making content on LinkedIn, and I can guarantee you'll be happy with your results. And if you stick with it, you have to be consistent with it. It's not going to come overnight, but another little tip that we use a ton is we share relevant or recent articles and news on LinkedIn, and you can provide a little bit of thought leadership there, and it's current events that are happening. So if you don't know where to start, that's an easy thing to do, is just copy and paste an article link and provide a little bit of your knowledge and your information.
That's really good. I think, the key to this, we do that for a couple of CEOs in the East Valley. We help them with their LinkedIn cadence. We will bother them for thought leadership on certain topics that we think are important to them. We provide this as a service because, as we all know, CEOs and COOs are extremely busy, but we kind of understand what makes them tick. With anybody we work with, we go into their vision, we deep dive into their vision to try to understand what makes them tick and why they do what they do, and then helps us sort of immerse ourselves into their business model. And when we do that, we can sort of then adopt some of the thought leadership that they've taken on, and then help them sort of get that message out so that they can elevate their brand on LinkedIn. Brings them more opportunities, more speaking engagement, more clout, all the things that go along with that. So great job on this presentation here, Jillian. And so in the chat, I don't know if I did it right, but I think I did. But in the chat, there are some links to Concept to Completion, which is our company, and to my Instagram, my Twitter, my LinkedIn. I'm at Mark Stewart at C2C. You can just look me up. It should have my title on there. But I would recommend that everyone that's on this call right now, and I should have probably said this at the beginning of the call, jump in, drop your LinkedIn profile into the chat, and hopefully Terry will keep this on for a few minutes on the close and let this run for an extra couple, 3 minutes so everybody can connect with one another. I meant to do this earlier, but let's try to do that so we can all just create a bigger network. So Terry, thanks so much.
I love that. Wow, great information. Couple things that really stood out to me. You said about your photo being the same on all of your social media so that people can find you. And it's interesting that you just said that because somebody gave me the name of somebody that had some really good kind of thought, positive inspiration type thing, and they gave me their name. So I'm looking, well, it's a common name. So I'm looking up this name and I had to keep going back and forth to their Facebook page to see if it was which one was the right person. So if that picture would have been the same, because
Yeah,
the
you would
Facebook one
immediately
was
know what to look for.
exactly, and the Facebook one was a little bit more playful as opposed to that. So I thought that was very interesting. One of the other things that you talked about and on the LinkedIn is about the keywords. You know, you're seeing more and more that people will put that, you know, they're not putting that they're a, you know, baker at XYZ restaurant. You know, they're putting that they're a thought leader, an advocate, love food, you know, those kinds of things. They're putting those types of things to kind of draw you in to make you read more about them.
You want both, and I'll let Jillian close it, but you want both on that. You want to give people a glimpse into who you are, your why, which we talked about very early on. And then you also want to, as she said, you want to add those key words. So if you're a CMO like me or a CEO or whatever it may be, you want to add that in there because that's what people will recognize you at. Here's another little tip, and I wanted to make sure that I got this out. You can add a little something behind your last name. So if you've got if you got a really long last name, you can't. But if you got a short last name, you can put Mark Stewart CMO in your last name, and it will show up on LinkedIn. So that's another way to do that as well.
And some of us, those of us women who have been in the working world for a little bit and have a maiden name, that's also a good way then to kind of get, because if you're establishing your career through over many years so that people can still find you too.
Really good idea. Yeah, that's smart. Especially if there's somebody from college that might be looking for you, or those are all good ideas. Yeah.
It's about the connections. So, wow, really great information.
Well, we got through it quick. I wanted to give people a few 15 minutes here, and hopefully during this time they're able to get their LinkedIn profiles in the chat, connect with one another, and let's keep growing our awareness and our brands together. And Terry, thanks so much for always having us on. Did you have any other final thoughts?
Yeah, so I know that you talked about LinkedIn, but is there another type? I heard that there is another, yeah, one second. Somebody had just asked me to connect on it. Clubhouse.
Oh, yes, Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is relatively new. It's grown very fast. It is a thought leadership sort of podcast / chat room group. And it has its own specific rules. I've actually been on there. I've listened to quite a few podcasts over the past, I shouldn't say they're podcasts. They're more like chats about specific topics. Actually, Jillian and I had talked about a few weeks ago about whether or not we should start one and just talk about marketing and listen to people chat and kind of get a group going together. But it's never really come to pass. There's so much good information out there, but you should definitely join. And then you could start a room, right? You could start an East Valley, Chamber of Commerce sort of, tell me what you're feeling out there in the marketplace. What's going on in your business world? What's happening in small business? What's the pressure from the government that you're feeling, or the economy? And just let people sound off.
Yeah. Great insight. Well, you know, I always like keeping up with the latest technology. Sometimes I don't understand it at the get-go, but I'm always willing to learn, and I love to learn those new things. This was really, I picked up a few things on my LinkedIn. I got to go and change now. So anyhow, thank you again for joining us. Mark Stewart, Concept to Completion, Jillian Grammer. Thank you. You guys are always so great, and I love when you tag team. Next week, we will not have a strategy for success because it is the holiday weekend. We want you to share it with your loved ones. And then we will be back that first week in June with more marketing tips for your business.